buenas noches, madrugadas, mañanitas, lo que sea cuando estén viendo este video. Hello to everyone. Les queremos dar la bienvenida a Apóstoles en Acción. Hoy vamos a estar haciendo un proyecto, así que en lo que vamos a cantar otra alabanza más seguido, pueden ir buscando ustedes, if you guys have friendship bracelet thread, ¿ok? Si tienen este hilo en casa, pueden ir buscando el hilo porque hoy vamos a hacer brazaletes de amistad y vamos a hablar un poquito de por qué es importante nosotros tener una amistad con Dios, cómo la podemos tener, cómo Él puede ser nuestro mejor amigo de toda la vida, como debería de ser, y mucho más. Así que pueden ir buscando. If you guys have friendship thread at home, I'm going to go through like a quick tutorial, okay, on how to do it. Voy a enseñarles cómo hacerlo rapidito, la manera más fácil de todas, ok, so no esperen algo muy intrico?
Complicado.
Complicated? Wait, what's the word I wanted? Intricate. That's the word I was trying to go for. Okay, so don't expect anything too difficult. All right, it'll be like the first one that you should ever learn if you're ever doing friendship bracelets, okay? So bring out your friendship bracelet thread, and we're going to sing another song because today's theme is friendship. El tema de esta semana es la amistad. Así que vamos a ver, aquí ya tenemos a varios amigos de Apóstoles en Acción que se están sintonizando. First, we would like to say hi to Alexis de Anda, who says hello. This is Melanie's brother. Hello, Melanie's brother. Thank you for joining us today. Not that Melanie. Melanie de Anda, who always watches. Let's see, through Facebook. I know we don't have these up just yet, but it looks like we do have a comment. It's Jared Ramirez, obviously a friend of Apóstoles en Acción. Aquí está, dice hey. Hi, Jared. Fun fact, un miembro de Apóstoles en Acción is right there in the blue, okay. So, para que puedan unirse a la conversación y nosotros todos somos amigos aquí, vayan comentando. Fátima Marín says hello, guys. Hi, Fátima.
Hola,
we miss you. Comenten y nosotros los vamos a ir saludando. Si tienen algunas peticiones, podemos más adelante vamos a cantar una alabanza que es como una oración, como todas las alabanzas, así que nosotros también podemos, si nos ponen aquí sus intenciones, nosotros podemos orar por esas intenciones el día de hoy. So, siguiente alabanza. Let's see. Today's theme is friendship. Tenemos una alabanza de Quiero proclamarte con mi canto, ¿ok? Escrita por Quiero proclamarte con mi canto que se llama Mi Gran Amigo, o nosotros le conocemos como Tú eres mi amigo. Así que todos los apóstoles encuentren Tú eres mi amigo. It looks like a sheet of paper, ¿ok? Vamos a cantar esta alabanza porque como hoy, para los que se están sintonizando ahorita mismo en este momento, nuestro tema de hoy es la amistad y cómo Jesús, y nuestro Señor, debería de ser nuestro mejor amigo de toda la vida porque Él siempre va a estar ahí para nosotros en las buenas y en las malas. Ok. Yep.
No
día de hoy. Que nos ayudes para que podamos sentir tu presencia siempre en nuestras vidas. Que el estar contigo sea la meta.
All right. Ahora, como dijo Lidia María antes, vamos a hacer lo que se llaman friendship bracelets en inglés, pero brazaletes de amistad en español. So, si tienen alguna como cuerdita chiquita así, no sé si Francisco se puede ver. Ok. So, si tienen algo así, vamos a hacer algo simple, porque nosotros no somos expertos en esto, pero queremos compartir la amistad. So, nosotros vamos a usar 3 diferentes colores, pueden ser los que sean. Yo voy a usar azul, blanco y rojo, pero puede ser cualquier color. Vamos a empezar, vamos a agarrar los 3 colores, vamos a medir qué tan largo queremos el brazalete y lo vamos a cortar. So, yo voy a hacer el mío como más o menos qué tan largo está mi brazo. So, voy a agarrar tijeras. Gracias. Voy a cortar aquí. Y ya cuando tienen una, ya pueden medir las otras con el mismo hilo. So, ya, como así de largo tu brazo. Oh, okay. So me acaban de decir that we can say a lot more things in English. Podemos decir algunas pocas cosas más en inglés hoy porque estamos solamente por los medios sociales. So, redes sociales. So vamos a hablar un poco más en inglés hoy. So we're making friendship bracelets today. My voice came back a little bit if you were here last week, but I think it's leaving again just from the first 2 songs. So hopefully it doesn't go away all the way. So, so make sure you grab your thread and then we'll get started. I don't have my thread yet. Anyone have their thread?
I think this is my thread.
All right, I'm going to borrow Lidia's then. This one? Jared, are you just trying to get me to make your bracelet?
No, don't.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So once you have your thread, you are going to tie a knot at the very top. All right.
Oh, wow.
A knot at the very top. I know, very fancy. Wow, Jared, you're ahead of the game.
That's amazing.
So, van a hacer un nudo.
With all 4 threads?
With all of them. Yeah, so you're going to take the whole thing, twist it around, and make a knot. It's just to kind of keep your bracelet together.
Oh, wow. So like this?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, right at the top. All right, and then once you have your knot up at the top, you're going to split your colors. So here I only have 2 colors, so I'm going to do 4 strands of each. So in this case, I don't have enough, so I'm going to do 2 strands of each. So, like, split it.
Okay.
And you're going to split them into even sections. So I'm going to have 4 sections of 2. But you might have 3 sections of 4.
I I have 3 and 2.
So then you can pick. The world is your oyster.
What's going on?
So we're splitting into sections.
Up to?
And then so split it into even sections. Once you have the even sections, all right, you are going to want to make like a 4 shape, and then you're going to tuck the string behind, loop it through, and then pull the knot shut. So this is hard to do with it in the air, but like that. So I'll do it again. You make a 4, and then so the 4, your string that you're looping through goes on top of the other one.
Does
So
4 come from the middle and the
4.
side? Okay, so like this. Wait, what?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah,
this?
it like that.
Start
So
over, what?
yes, like that, and then you tuck the string through.
Wait a second.
You pull it through, and you make the knot.
Okay, I'm back again. Ya ahora sí se escucha, ¿verdad? Si no se escucha, nos dejan saber de una vez para yo poder ir a arreglarlo otra vez. A ver si podemos cambiar la cámara otra vez para acá. Un close-up, maybe. Sería mejor para que puedan ver. A little close-up so you guys can see. Okay.
That's wrong.
Let me see. I'll put it like this. Can we see this if I go like this? Is it in the...
Yes.
Is it there?
You're right there.
Okay,
Exactly
awesome.
your hands
So, what she's saying, what Bernita was saying, lo que estaba diciendo Bernita, es que van a necesitar 4 de cada color. So 4 of each color. If you have, in my case, I'm only using 2 colors. Okay, so I'll need 4 of each, which is what I have. It's just to make the bracelet a little thicker. You do not have to do it this way. No lo tienen que hacer de esta manera. Si quieren solo hacer la trenza y luego agregarle different beads. Ahorita vamos a enfocar a los apóstoles que están haciendo tipos diferentes. Pero if you guys want to do it this way, then you can do it in the following manner. So what she meant, and I'll use like all 4 of my strings. You're going to take the 2, okay, that you have at the very beginning. And I'll show you multiple ways to do it. How about I start with the easiest? You could take all 4 strands of your first color, okay? Los 4 del primer color. Here's where Renita was talking about. You can make a 4 shape. So I don't know if you can see this on the mantel right now, but I have like, it looks like a 4. Se mira como un 4 aquí. No sé si lo pueden ver. Can you see that? Do you see the 4 here? So like this is the stick and here's the 4. Yeah, do you guys see the 4 there? Okay. You could do it like that, and then take all 4 strands, and you're going to loop it through underneath.
I think I gave up. Honestly,
And then you would hold the stick of the 4 and pull on the other one until it knots all the way up at the top. So this is the easy way. This means that you're just going to have to do 2 knots for each color, and it'll make some nice, really big... as you can see here, some really big knots right away. If you want it more detailed, si lo quieren como con más detalle, then you could, in theory, do each of these little strands one at a time. Pero ahorita, como no tenemos tanto tiempo, no lo vamos a hacer muy detallado, sino que voy a hacer 2 de 4. Okay, so like here, I'm going to do 2 sets of 4. So 1, 2. Watch me. I'm making the 4 here, making the 4. I loop all of the color underneath it to make like a knot.
Wait a second. What did you do? I am genuinely confused.
Okay, empezar de cero. It's okay. I'm used to it. Okay, let me, Breda, can I have your iPad so I can have like a clear surface on the bottom?
Honestly, it's because my guitar is like right in front of me.
Let's move the guitar.
This is totally distracting me right now.
We gotta give room for the
We can put it, or no, put it on that side. Okay, so let me try it ahora con el rosita atrás para que a ver si lo pueden ver bien. Okay, maybe with the pink in the background you'll be able to see it better. Okay, so I'm starting with my 2 strands. I'm using all 4 for each color, and I'm going to be making a 4. So I'm doing it upside down so they can see it on camera, but you could do it however you want.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to take one of those colors, and I'm going to make a 4 with it. Like this. You see, here's the stick of the 4, and then here's like the 4 like that. Yes. Okay. So now you're going to go, so you go over. Now you're going to lift it up and you're going to pull it through from underneath like that. Okay? You're going to hold the stick of the 4 so it doesn't move, and you're going to pull the other one all the way until it knots up at the top. So you should have like a nice thick knot at the top.
Like that one.
Uh-huh, like that one. Okay, then you could do however many, like, see, mine is already kind of thick, so I'm going to do, like, another 2 more of these same knots, and then I'm going to switch colors. So I'm going to do another 4, otro 4, bring it underneath, and then knot towards the top. We got it now? Yes? No? Okay. All right, and I'll do one more set. So I'm going to make the 4 again. Okay, so see, here's the stick, and here's the 4. All right. And I'm going to loop it underneath. I'm going to reach underneath, and I'm going to bring it through. Underneath.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to see.
There, Okay, good.
Okay.
And then you're going to hold the stick of the 4 and pull up. Okay?
Like, so.
I think
So now, I'm going to switch colors so you guys can see. Ahora voy a cambiar de color para que puedan ver cómo sería en lo que vamos el traspaso. So I'm going to switch the positions of the 2 colors. I'm going to switch the position of the 2 colors. And I'm going to do the light pink. Ahora voy a hacer el rosita.
What happened?
Okay.
I literally did what you told me to do.
Wait, what did you do?
I don't even know.
Okay, hold on.
I thought I divided them.
Yes, like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so then voy otra vez con el otro. I'm going to make a group. I'm going to make a 4. All right, this time, if you notice, si miran, el oscuro esta vez es el palo del 4 because I switched colors. So this one's now the stick of the 4. And with the light pink, I'm going to be going over to make the 4. I'm going to reach from underneath and pull it through. And then I'm going to hold the stick of the 4 and I'm just going to bring it up. So now, if you can see, I don't know, it's like really far away. But if you can see, I have a few knots of the dark pink. And now I have 1 knot of the light pink. All right? And I'm going to do that again. I did a total of 4 the first time. So I'm going to do 4 with this second color. Again, friendship bracelets are not meant to be stressful, okay? Esto no debería de traerte estrés, okay?
I mean, immediately.
So, si no te funciona de esta manera, if it's not working this way by making the 4, you could do whatever braid, whatever knot you want that you know how to do, and you can get through it. The point is that while you're making these friendship bracelets, ideally, you want to be thinking of the person that you're making the bracelet for. So, like, what makes a good friend? I'm going to open it up to the people here on Apóstoles. Can someone tell me, I'm going to pass the mic down, what makes a good friend? Because that's the whole point of today's talk while we're struggling. Why are we struggling with these bracelets? What makes a good friend? Alguien aquí? Someone here that can say? Okay, get closer to the mic and say it nice and loud for me, Valeria.
Communication.
Okay, communication is key. That's a good one to start with because si no se tiene comunicación, no importa la relación que sea, si sean mejores amigos, novios, esposos, padres e hijos, hijos e padres, lo que sea la relación. Si no se tiene comunicación, we can't say that that's an actual relationship, right? Mm-hmm. No podemos decir que es una relación sana. Obviamente hoy estamos hablando de la amistad, pero tenemos que tener en cuenta que cualquier relación entre las personas tiene que estar basada en comunicación. Y eso incluye nuestra relación con Dios. Mm-hmm. Right? So, Bernita, do you want to expand on that?
Yes. Nada más quería decir un poco sobre eso, porque esto es una pregunta o un tema que siempre hablamos con los jóvenes. Que en cualquier relación, como dijo Lidia María, incluyendo la relación que tienes con Dios, se tienen que hablar. Por ejemplo, si alguien consigue novia o novio y no se hablan por 10 meses, no pueden decir que están en una relación, ¿verdad? Right? Si nosotros nunca le hablamos a Dios y nunca vamos a la casa de Dios, que es la Santa Misa, no podemos decir que tenemos relación con Dios tampoco. Tampoco con las amistades. Si yo no hablo con mis amistades, tampoco es relación. Pero hay algo importante y creo que Lidia María iba a decir eso. Es las relaciones sanas. Ahora, ¿qué significa una relación sana or a healthy relationship? What do you guys think? What makes a relationship healthy? A friendship, whatever type of relationship. What makes it healthy? What are the foundations?
Oh, Alondra has an idea. Alondra, come closer to the mic and say it nice and strong next to the mic.
Being respectful.
Yes. Respect has to be at the foundation of it. All right? Because if the other person doesn't respect you, they're not going to respect your decisions. They're not going to respect your opinions.
Or your feelings.
And that's going to lead to problems, right? They need to respect you because if God, who is God, always respects your free will and your human dignity, your friends, your relationships need to honor that as well. All right, so respect is huge. Respect is huge. What else? What else is the foundation, Myra?
Well, hold on. Going back, sorry, Myra, before we move on, going back to the communication part, right? Just to say it in English, because we were saying it in Spanish. In order for it to be a healthy relationship, whether it's friends, brother, sister, parents, like children, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you have to have solid communication in like the relationship. And communication is not yelling at each other. Okay? Communication is not telling the other person what they need to get done and them telling you what you need to get done. Communication is understanding each other's feelings, right? And also understanding in a way what affects the person, right? If you know that the person does not like, I don't know, a certain way that you say something, for example, you're not going to go ahead and say it that way every single time because you're upset just to make them feel bad. That's part of the whole respect thing that Alondra was talking about and the communication. But also, if we think about it, when people say, oh, God doesn't exist, right? Moving on to a different relationship, if we're talking about the relationship with God, you know, some people are like, oh, how do you know God doesn't exist? Like, we can't hear him, we can't see him, we can't whatever. Well, communication goes both ways. And if you might be thinking that, well, I've prayed to God and everything that I've prayed for hasn't happened, you have to make sure that you're giving yourself time to listen to God as well. It's a two-way street. Just like it's not always asking for the other person to do something for you, we have to think of the same way for God, right? So that relationship with God is a two-way street. And our communication with God is through prayer. Prayer is the way that you would talk to him. Prayer is the way that you would listen to him, because there is different types of prayer. And one of them is to sit in silence and just listen to what God puts in your heart. And so we need to make sure that just like you wouldn't go, 2 weeks without talking to your best friend, you also can't go years without talking to God. You have to make sure that you're having that relationship as well. So let's go back to what Maida was going to say about a healthy relationship. Was what you were going to say?
Yes. Wait,
yes?
Can I say one last thing
on
communication? So the last thing I want to say in communication is that there is a big difference between hearing somebody and actually listening. Because like Lydia said, communication is a two-way street. You can hear somebody, you can literally hear what they're saying, but if you disregard what they're saying, right? So for example, if God's trying to talk to us and we hear him, but we just decide that we know better, we're not listening. Mm-hmm. Listening is what you want to do in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or whatever, right? And especially a relationship with God, because listening is where you learn more about the other person. Listening is where you build that respect, that trust. You can't be in a good relationship if neither of you guys are listening. And that means respecting each other's feelings. That means respecting the other person. And I think that's a big difference, because a lot of the times people think like, oh yeah, no, we talk, right? But it's just one-sided. You have to listen as well. So Myra, on to you.
Do you want to pass her the microphone? Will that one reach?
I hope so.
Do you remember what you were going to say? Yeah, okay, good. Because it was a long segue. All right.
It was a while ago.
Okay, so turn it back on so you can see. Does it reach? Okay.
You have to turn it on. Yeah.
There we go.
Is it on or not?
There we go. Okay.
Having each other's backs.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Having each other's backs. A lot of people say, I have a lot of fake friends. Well, newsflash, I don't know if you would be able to call them friends at all, because someone who is a good friend will always have your back. But that also means that they will tell you when you are in the wrong. Mm-hmm. So if you think that someone is fake just because they're telling you that you shouldn't do something when in reality you probably shouldn't be doing that, then that's not necessarily a fake friend, okay? They should be able to, again, we're going back to the respect that Alondra was talking about. There should be respect in any relationship. So you should be okay with your friends calling you out on something that you're doing wrong. But you also have to be, if you're the person calling someone else out because you can see that what they're doing is going to lead them down the wrong path, you have to do that in a respectful manner. That's also part of it. So there has to be respect both ways. But yes, you absolutely need to have each other's backs. You have to absolutely keep each other on the right path. And who better to do that than Jesus himself, right? When he can have our back, and no matter what, thick or thin, if it's a good situation, if it's a bad situation, we can always count on him. But again, that trust comes from establishing a relationship with him. You're not going to have some stranger's back. Maybe you're the type of person who would, but that person might not have your back. And the only way that you can have each other's back is by having that trust. And in order to trust Jesus and trust each other, you guys have to have established that relationship. And if you're just ignoring each other, you'd never get to that point. So when we don't pray, that's kind of like ignoring God, right? And speaking of prayer, unless you wanted to add something before I do a segue, okay?
So remember, going off of what Lida said, it's important because I think nowadays people think that everything is subjective. What does subjective mean? That everyone's right. That, you know, if I decide that something is okay, that means it's okay. But that's not how it works. Because the way that we know whether or not we're doing something right or whether or not we need to correct our friends is by following what God tells us. That's the only way we'll know what is right. Because God is justice. So if we aren't with God, we won't know what is right and wrong. The world can tell us what's right and wrong, but we know from experience that the world's always going to do what's best for the world. And what's best for the world? Money. Which means that it's never going to lead you down the right path. Who is? God. And along those lines, too, remember there are 4 ways that we sin. Pensamiento, palabra, obra y omisión. Our words, our thoughts, our actions, and what we don't do. Which means that if our friends are doing things that we know is wrong and we don't say anything, that also falls on us. That sin falls on us because we didn't say anything. What we don't do is just as bad as what we do. So we want to make sure that we are following, bless you, that we are following what God tells us and that we are helping our friends that way too. Because if you really care about your friends, truly deeply care about them, you want what is best for them. And the only thing that's what's best for them is God. Not just God, but you want to see them in heaven. Which means that it's not your job for them to like you at all times. It's your job to help each other. And that goes for any type of relationship. And that goes for friendships especially. And well, anything, any relationship. And that's why, you know, people get mad because they're like, oh, but God didn't give me the PS5 that I wanted. Or God didn't give me this because, and I prayed so hard. I prayed for 6 months and God still didn't give it to me. If God knows that it's not going to be for my benefit because he's a good friend, he's not going to do that to me because he cares about me. So he's not going to give me something that's not for my best well-being. And that's something that we need to understand is that God won't give us what we want all the time, but he'll always give us what we need because he is a good friend.
So solo para traducir un poco, hemos dicho hasta ahora que las amistades y cualquier relación, ¿ok? Estamos hablando en general, las relaciones sanas son no solamente las amistades, sino también entre hermanos, entre papás e hijos, entre hasta los que trabajan juntos, right? Novios, todas esas relaciones están basadas en algunas cosas que hemos dicho hasta ahora. La primera cosa fue comunicación. Siempre se tiene que tener comunicación y esto es para todos. Y tiene que ser una comunicación sana, ¿ok? Eso no puede ser todo de un solo lado diciendo a la otra persona qué es lo que tienen que hacer, qué es lo que no pueden hacer, ¿verdad? No puede ser ignorando a las personas. No puede ser solo poniéndoles atención cuando se nos pega la gana, right? Todo eso tiene que ser con respeto y con amor, sobre todo con amor. Cualquier relación tiene que tener amor y por eso Dios es un ejemplo, iba a decir un ejemplo ejemplar, pero por eso Dios es es un gran ejemplo porque Él nos creó a nosotros por amor y para nosotros poder amarnos el uno al otro. So, nosotros ya tenemos ese amor listo para nosotros poder en este caso vivir en ese amor de Dios, pero nosotros si no tenemos esa comunicación de Dios o si estamos lejos de Dios, o sea, no vamos a misa, no comulgamos, no vamos a confesarnos, si estamos lejos de Dios, no vamos a tener esa conexión con ese amor de Dios. Entonces, las decisiones que tomamos nosotros no van a ser las correctas, porque no tenemos esa conexión con nuestro Señor Jesucristo que nos va a decir entre el bien y el mal. Va a ser como si fuera un ciego, ¿verdad? Tratando de guiar el otro ciego. Si no estamos cerca de Dios, entonces cualquier relación que tengamos en nuestra vida a lo mejor no es una sana, porque no tenemos ese amor de Dios. Lo principal para cualquier cosa que hay en nuestras vidas, ya sea amigos, hermanos, mamás, papás, novios, novias, lo que sea, nosotros primeramente tenemos que asegurarnos de tener esa relación con Dios fija, firme, fuerte, que sea una fe entera, que sea un amor íntegro, que en cada parte de nuestra vida nosotros podamos sentir ese amor de Dios, esa alegría que nos da Dios, y así vamos a poder tener las relaciones sanas, vamos a tener las relaciones que nosotros podamos vivir plenamente en amor de Dios. Y para eso nosotros, I want to show you guys some really cool resources. So if I could have the camera come back up this way, okay? In English, I'll start first. This, honestly, for anyone, like children, adults, teens, anyone, this book, I highly, I guess a few of us in here highly recommend this book. If you don't recognize it, it's called the UCAT. I don't know, can we zoom in a little bit? Maybe back. What if I do it? Oh, wait. Here?
Like where your face is at, baby.
There?
Yeah.
Okay,
There you
don't look at my face. Go look at Diego's face instead. Okay, so the UCAT, there you go. The UCAT is a great resource, okay? The UCAT is a great resource. What the UCAT is basically the Catechism of the Catholic Church in what we could call plain English, right? Because sometimes the Catechism of the Catholic Church uses some really difficult words, right? Really difficult language to understand. But this one's explained to us in plain English with examples and everything. This was actually written by Pope Benedict when he was Pope, okay? It was put together by him and his team. So you guys can go through and like if you have questions, for example, you can flip to the back. And if you have questions about, for example, I don't know, God the Holy Spirit or how to pray, you come back here, you go to the section. Let me go to the prayer section, actually, because that's the one that I was going to talk about. If I go to prayer and look at how many they have for prayer, right, it'll tell me what number I need to go to. So if I want to talk about communication, right, prayer as dialogue, I'm going to go to number 472. So I'll flip to 472, and look, they even have like pictures and everything, guys. It's a really great resource. It'll tell me what the Catholic Church in the Catechism of the Catholic Church says about prayer. Okay, so I can then read for the how is prayer like dialogue. I could learn about, what prompts should I pray? And it'll say, we could go through what's in our mind, who is a good model for prayer, how should we pray? It goes through all of it. Okay, so this is a really great resource. If you hadn't heard of it before, it's called UCAT. They do have it in pretty much almost every language. It's available on Amazon. I think mine cost me like $14, $15, something like that. Okay. I know this is like a non-paid commercial.
Yeah.
We're not getting anything from this,
No.
but it's because kids need to know what the church believes. And sometimes when we see the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is like this thick, we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to read all of those words.
Which you should.
But I can see how someone who maybe, is first entering into the faith might be like, oh, it's a lot to read the Bible and the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It might seem like a lot. So here, Pope Benedict thought of the same thing. This is a UCAT. Right? The Catechism of the Catholic Church for the youth. And you can come and you can read it and you can see what the Catholic Church believes about everything. So that way you don't have to hear it from someone who's telling it to you. You can go and investigate it yourself, which is what a smart person does, right? When you're truly looking for the truth, you go and look for the facts. And this has it listed for you. Right? And if you want to go look at it, then let's say you're reading it here and you're like, that intrigues me. I want to know more. It even tells you where in the Catechism of the Catholic Church you can find it. And then you could go straight to the source. So a really good resource. And I'm going to say the same thing in Spanish in a little bit.
Yeah. And also because we're talking about friendship today and relationships, sibling relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, between you and your parents. You can't love somebody you don't know. You can't love something you don't know. which means that if you know nothing about your faith, about the Catholic Church, it's unfair for you to say, oh, but, Catholics do this and the Catholic Church does this, and I don't like going to Mass because this, and I don't like the Catholic Church because they do all these things. If you don't know, how do you even know what the Catholic Church believes? So you have to know about your faith, because that's how you fall in love with it. It's like, I wouldn't go up to a random stranger on the street and be like, I am in love with you. Let's go get married right now. All right? Because one, that'd be weird and they would probably push me off, right? And they'd be like, okay, freak, go over there, right? But also because I don't know them. I can't build that genuine love if I don't know. And that's why a lot of people fall into like yeah, but I go to Mass every Sunday. And I pray, on Easter and Christmas.
And I don't feel any different.
God
never does anything for me.
God doesn't listen to me.
And this other religion says that if I do this, this, and this, well, obviously that's going to be more appealing for you because you don't know what the Catholic Church believes. Like, how do you know that your church doesn't also do the same thing? How do you know the beauty of what is the Mass and confession and God's mercy if you don't learn about it? So in order for us, like all of us apóstoles as well, right, and every youth in the world to truly fall in love with our faith, we have to learn it, right? And I'm going to turn, actually, Bernita, if you want to like talk about something else while I turn to the page that I was going to share. Yeah. I have a little thing that kind of reflects on how we should be praying.
Mm-hmm. So the way I like to explain the importance of prayer, but also, and I want to emphasize this for everybody, the importance of going to Holy Mass is through an example. All right, so for my apóstoles in the room, is texting somebody the same as talking on the phone? No. Right? Is talking to somebody on the phone the same as FaceTiming them? No. Right? Is FaceTiming them the same as talking to them in person? No. But you're doing the same thing, right? You're talking to them. You're sending the same message. You're saying exactly what you were going to say. So what's the difference? What was it, Valeria? I just couldn't hear you. Interaction, right? That personal connection of it. When you FaceTime somebody, you see their face, right? You see what they're doing. You see where they are. You're like, oh, I didn't know you had a dog, right? When you're face to face, you get to kind of pick up on the little things that they do and the cute little mannerisms that they have. And it's more personal. Yes, in theory, I can pray at home and I'm still talking to God, right? But that's like a phone call. I'm talking on the phone with God. All right. When I go to the Holy Mass, I am coming over to God's house and I am spending time with him. It is face-to-face interaction. It is more personal. It is closer. You build that relationship more. Just like we've been talking about relationships. If you get a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you have a friend and you don't talk to them for 10 months and you pop up and you're like, hi, can you say that you've been dating for 10 months or that you've been friends for 10 months? No. Right? You could be texting with them. You can have buddies that you play like Call of Duty with or you play like Fortnite with, but you wouldn't consider yourselves close friends, right? You wouldn't donate a kidney for them because you need to spend time. In any relationship, you need to spend time with them, personal, one-on-one time. And that is what the Holy Mass is. And that's why when people say like, oh, but I can just pray at home. And when other religions offer like, yeah, praying at home is fine. Yes, you should pray at home. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But the difference is that when you come to the Holy Mass, you are coming to the house of God and you are spending time. You are closer than ever. God can hear you clearly. And he's always going to do what is best for you. Not always what you want, because we don't know everything and we don't know what's best for us, but he's always going to give us what we need. And that's important to keep in mind always.
Okay, coming back to what I was going to say, which is actually about prayer and how it does apply to the Holy Mass as well. Like when sometimes the excuse that we get is, oh, I just don't want to go to Mass on Sundays. An hour is too long, that I would rather be sleeping in instead of going to church. All of that, first of all, I could say it's probably valid reason, okay? We play the 8 o'clock mass on Sundays, and there are some mornings.
In the morning.
Yes, 8 in the morning. And there are some mornings, there was actually a funny story right after, what was it? Christmas? I'm sorry, I'm going to put them on the side. Right after Christmas. Was it Christmas or was it New Year's?
New Year's.
Christmas.
No, Christmas.
Justo después de la Navidad, like the day after Christmas, or no, Christmas Day. It was after the Christmas Eve Mass. El Día de Navidad, we had to play the 8 o'clock Mass because it was a Sunday. And we're all sitting there, and it's like 7:50. 53. We kept checking the watch, and we're like, where are Andres and Melanie and Diego?
Hey, well, we gotta talk about the whole thing.
So then we were like, oh no. And so we called, Bernita called them one by one. They didn't answer. And then finally we got a hold of Diego. He had just woken up, and then they had to rush to get to church. So we're not saying that we're perfect, right? We're not saying that we get up every single Sunday morning. We're like, yeah,
Floating
let's
on a
do
cloud,
this.
right?
Like, let's go in and let's do this, sing this mass at 8 in the morning. That's not the case. But what I want to read here in the Catechism of the Catholic Church is like, the question is it enough to pray when you feel like praying? And we could replace that question with, is it enough to go to mass only when you feel like it? And here it says clearly, no. Someone who prays only when he feels like it does not take God seriously and will leave off praying. Prayer thrives on faithfulness, which means going even when you don't want to, right? So we can apply that to the Mass, right? It means going to Mass even when you don't want to because you are faithful, right? It means praying at home, maybe the rosary, even when you don't want to because you are faithful. Okay, so it's not, don't think of it as like us lecturing you guys because we're perfect. There are some mornings where I wake up, I'm like, man, I wish I could sleep for like another 2 hours. But we have to go to Mass because we need that communication, that face-to-face that Bernita was talking about with God for us to be able to have the love of God and the joy that God brings us in our lives. Otherwise, it's just all like texts, and then we leave him undelivered and all of that stuff, okay? Or we miss the message because we're not paying attention. So, lo que estamos hablando, yo sé que fue mucho en inglés, pero para los que también están escuchando en español, estamos hablando sobre la necesidad, la diferencia que es ir a la Santa Misa en persona contra rezar en casa. Muchas personas a lo mejor dicen, bueno, yo puedo rezar en casa, yo puedo hablar con Dios en casa, ¿para qué tengo que ir a la Santa Misa? Pero Bernita lo comparó con un mensaje de texto, comparado con un mensaje comparado con hablar cara a cara, ¿verdad? Cuando estamos rezando en casa, no estamos diciendo que no deberían de rezar en casa. También se tiene que rezar en casa. Así como cuando son buenos amigos o novios, digamos, no basta solo el hablar de cara a cara, sino que también cuando no están juntos, se mandan mensajes, se llaman, ¿verdad? También así con Dios, tenemos que rezar en casa. Pero también necesitamos esa interacción de cara a cara que solo podemos nosotros recibir cuando entramos a la casa de nuestro Señor, que es el templo, y participamos plenamente de la Santa Misa. Eso es otro nivel de interacción, ¿verdad? Con Él. No basta solo los mensajes, no basta solo rezar en casa. Tenemos que ir a la Santa Misa, porque así nosotros podemos participar plenamente de esa interacción cara a cara. Y no basta solo ir a misa y estar ahí sentados, distraídos, sin poder comulgar. Tenemos que estar en gracia, tenemos que poder ir a confesarnos para poder recibir a nuestro Señor Jesucristo en presencia real, que es la Sagrada Eucaristía. Lo que leí del Catecismo de la Iglesia, a ver si podemos regresar la cámara acá un ratito, porque no lo pude presentar en español. Este libro se lo recomiendo a todos los jóvenes, niños, papás, adultos, lo que sea. Este libro se llama You Cat. Fue preparado por el Papa Emérito Benedicto XVI y su equipo. Y es en esencia es el catecismo de la Iglesia Católica en lo que podríamos decir el español simple, ¿verdad? Con ejemplos, con fotos, pueden ver, tienen fotos, tienen preguntas, tienen algunas palabras de los santos.
Tienen un nombre abajo que corre.
Sí, aquí abajo tienen también una figurita para los que se distraen a veces, tiene de todo, ¿verdad? Para poder nosotros interactuar con el catecismo de la Iglesia. aquí uno puede ir y, por ejemplo, lo que estamos hablando hoy, la oración. Tienen toda una sección sobre cómo orar, qué es la importancia de la oración, algunas oraciones que nos tenemos que saber de memoria como católicos. Y nosotros podemos ir aquí y buscar todas las preguntas que hay. Por ejemplo, la pregunta que yo leí, lo voy a traducir porque no tengo mi libro en español. Solo tengo el libro en inglés, pero sí lo tienen en otros idiomas. Dice aquí, ¿basta con solo orar cuando nosotros nos sentimos como que queremos rezar? Y dice, no, porque alguien que solo reza cuando se le pega la gana, sí, para decirlo así, ¿verdad? No toma a Dios en serio. Y muchas veces va a dejar el rezar para más tarde. Eso no sería un buen ejemplo de rezar, porque rezar tiene que ser con, what would be faithfulness? Con fe, pues sí, ¿verdad? Con dedicación. Yeah, like loyalty, como ser leales a la oración, fieles a la oración, para que nosotros podamos de día o noche, cuando estemos en las buenas o las malas, siempre es rezar, porque le estaba diciendo, por ejemplo, con la Santa Misa, hay veces que nosotros también, los apóstoles, nosotros cantamos la misa de 8 en la mañana. Hay veces que nosotros no nos queremos levantar a esa hora y literalmente nuestros cuerpos no se levantan porque a lo mejor teníamos una noche muy ocupada la noche anterior, un ejemplo, en la Navidad, ¿verdad? Pero lo tenemos que hacer porque Dios no es solo cuando uno quiere o cuando uno se le da esa necesidad de Él, sino que es constante. Tienes que ser en las buenas y en las malas, aunque quieras o no, hay que ir a misa, porque Dios no, si solo vamos basado en los sentimientos, ¿verdad? A lo mejor no va a llegar el punto cuando nuestros sentimientos estén diciendo, sí, vamos a misa todos los domingos. Pero nosotros tenemos que ser constantes con ese amor de Dios, esas ganas de recibir las bendiciones que podamos recibir de la Santa Misa. Y como dije antes, no basta con solo estar ahí sentados, ¿verdad? Tenemos que participar plenamente de la Santa Misa, recibiendo la Sagrada Comunión. Y por eso hay que prepararnos, por eso los niños tienen que ir al catecismo para recibir su primera comunión, tienen que ir a confirmarse, se tienen que bautizar primeramente, hubiera dicho ese al principio, ¿verdad? Los niños. Los adultos se tienen que casar por la Iglesia Católica, arreglar su vida, ir a confesarse para poder recibir la mayor bendición que tenemos nosotros, que es la Sagrada Eucaristía. Ok, hay muchas personas comentando, así que vamos a mandar saludos en este momento y luego otra alabanza.
Yeah.
Ok, ¿quién quiere ir primero?
I'll go first.
Ok.
Saludos a Jared Ramírez, dice hey. What's up, Jared?
Hi, Jared.
Citlali Hernández dice hello or hola. What's up, Citlali?
Hi, Slali.
Valentina says hello.
Hi,
What's up,
Valentina.
Wade Sepulas dice, Ms. Brendita, I hope that this is for Mr. Sepulas. Wait, what? Ms. Brendita, I hope that is for Mr. Sepulas, that bracelet. I need a new one for my collection.
I got you, Mr. Sepulus. I'll bring it tomorrow.
Hold on, wait. There's
have
some
to make it
people that
longer.
want to say hi to Mr. Sepulus. Can we have our camera guy kind of go through and everyone wave hi to Mr. Sepulus? Some of his students. Wait, you just showed the wall. Okay, we're good. There we go. All right. Okay, back over this way. Valeria wants to say hi. Is she? Okay, say that again.
It's your 5th grade student with a C in math.
And then over here on this side, we have Hafid also wants to say hi to Mr. Sepulus.
Hello, Mr. Sepulus.
Okay, and is that everyone that he knows from here? He knows you too? Okay, let's turn
I know
this
Mr.
way.
Sepulus.
Yes, we all know Mr. Sepulus. All right. Okay, lots of Mr. Sepulus fans here in Apóstoles. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I think Bernita said that the bracelet was going to be for him.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to make it a little longer because I think... Actually, I don't know. I don't know wrist sizes. So I'm going to make it extra long. So.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah. José Jesús dice bendiciones para todos.
Hola, hola,
Bendiciones.
muchas bendiciones para ustedes, para ver cuándo podemos nosotros tener a ver, ¿qué sería? What's the word? When two, like for example, a crossover de Quiero proclamarte con mi canto y Apóstoles en Acción, a ver si podemos un día tener los dos presentes aquí en el live de Apóstoles en Acción.
Y nada más para que sepan, si ven alguna carita enojada en Facebook de parte de alguno de nosotros, es pura broma. Pura broma. Nada más para que sepan.
Es todo Andrés, okay? He's the mad faces, if you guys are wondering who's the mad faces.
Yes, pero es pura broma. Todo amor.
Okay,
Yo
next.
tengo,
Yeah.
oh,
Wait, he's more.
no.
María Ramírez Ayala dice, hola, muchas bendiciones y saludos. Bendiciones.
Saludos.
Jared says,
Bendiciones.
hey.
Hi, Jared, again.
Melanie de Anda dice, buenas noches, I'm going to sleep soon.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you for
night.
joining us. I see your brothers on YouTube as well. Hi to all of you guys, and hopefully you guys get a good night's rest, and we'll see you this week for MAPS testing. Be ready for MAPS testing, all of you guys that are MAPS testing this week. Get a good night's sleep, eat breakfast, do well on the test. Amen. Okay, is that it?
Two more. Valentina says, hey.
Hi, Valentina.
And then Marina Ramírez dice, bendiciones a todos.
Bendiciones. Who do you have? YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yo tengo YouTube. Oh, mi micrófono estaba apagado. Oh, no, it's just now. It's not.
Okay.
Okay. Alexis de Anda dice, hi, hola, this is Melanie's brother. Hello.
What's up, Melanie's
Welcome to Apóstoles en Acción.
Yes, good to have you here.
Lidia Botello says hello. Brendita Botello says bendiciones. Fátima Marín says hello, guys. Hola,
Hi, Fátima.
María Marín dice bendiciones para todos.
Bendiciones.
Fátima dice por todas las personas que están en la escuela para que Dios les dé fuerza y paciencia.
Amén.
Ah,
También queremos saludar a Susi Lira
Sí.
y a María Marín que nos están ahí monitoreando YouTube. Hoy andamos flying solo, ¿ok? Andamos sin nuestra pilota, nuestra comandante,
Cabeza de la
la
familia.
cabeza de la familia. Ella está, para que los que no sepan, Lidia Bonilla, nuestra madre de Apóstoles en Acción, no está aquí, está dando una charla. Por primera vez estamos intentándolo solitos. Por eso no pudimos salir al aire a través de las radios porque todavía no hemos... no somos los expertos todavía solitos, pero vamos a ir aprendiendo. Ya tenemos ahí atrás a Francisco Botello, que está encargándose de todo, así que muchas gracias, Francisco. Pero sí, muchas gracias por todos los que están monitoreando y diciéndonos cuando no se escucha o si algo está mal con el audio o el video. Se les quiere y se les agradece mucho.
Patricia dice, buenas tardes, Apóstoles en Acción. Dios les bendiga grandemente hoy y siempre.
Amén.
Guillermo Marín dice, bendiciones para todos los apóstoles. Que Dios los bendiga y un fuerte abrazo para mi comadre Brendita. Oh, un fuerte abrazo de regreso. María Marín dice, sí se escucha. Yay. María Ruiz dice, saludos para todos, en especial para César.
A ver si podemos poner César en la cámara. Say hi to your fans.
El número uno. Por los que no estaban, para los que no estaban la semana pasada, César es el nuevo integrante de Apóstoles en Acción, el nuevo miembro. Y estamos muy contentos que esté con nosotros.
Sí.
Tengo más, hay muchos. Andrés Leija dice, saludos para todos, especialmente a Andrés, Diego y Melanie. Los quiero mucho.
A ver if we can go through all three of them. Can we? Oh.
Y a Melanie.
Y a Melanie que está por allá. Hoy cambió de lugar Melanie. Anda acá ayudando. Todos andan en lugar diferente.
Y Salomé dice, hey everyone, sorry I couldn't go, but I love how it's going so far. Hi Salomé, we miss you. We miss you.
She said good night, y'all, at the very end. So good night, Salome.
night,
Have a good night.
Um,
Sleep tight.
Valeria says Valeria was here.
Hi, Valeria.
Don't know who that is, so I'm just kidding. Germán Ruiz dice, bendiciones para todo el equipo de Apóstoles en Acción. Bendiciones.
Bendiciones. Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Tito says, Tito was here too. Hi to everyone.
Hi, Tito. We miss you too.
May dice bendiciones para todos y ella quiere ver a Saraí.
A ver.
So, no sé si podemos
Es que
enfocarnos
Saraí
ahí.
estaba muy enfocada con su brazalete de amistad. A ver si la podemos enfocar aquí. Un poquito más. Ahí está, Saraí. Es que, a ver, sí se puede bajar la cámara para que vean la mesa cómo está. Sí se puede, no se puede bajar. Ok, justo debajo de la cámara, en el blind spot, ok, está un tiradero en la mesa, pero es porque todos los apóstoles están cortando y agarrando el hilo para poder hacer los brazaletes. Y en esa mesa es donde estaba trabajando Saraí y por eso a lo mejor estaba agachadita y no se podía ver. Y para que también la puedan ver, al principio ella y Mariana estuvieron tocando el violín y lo van a volver a tocar con la otra alabanza que vamos a seguir ahorita, así que no se vayan.
Tengo algunos más. Si Lali dice long time no see. I don't know who that is either.
I don't know who
but-
that is either.
So definitely
Hi,
not wearing a
Lali.
Yale Bulldog sweater right now.
Yale?
You going to
Oh
Yale?
no, are we
Betraying
trying to
Harvard.
betraying Harvard?
Not betraying Harvard, but you know, it was free.
It was free.
Our rivals.
I'm calling Harvard and I'm telling them.
Good. Peace and love for everyone. Okay, I think nos toca otra alabanza, ¿no? Una alabanza de amistad. A ver, ¿cuáles eran las que teníamos nosotros apuntados? Aquí tenemos. Ya hicimos, tú eres mi amigo. A la mujer de aquí. Yo tengo un amigo que me ama. ¿Ya? ¿Sí? Esta es una que también los apostolitos, que hace mucho rato no pudimos grabar con ellos, pero it's coming, ¿ok? Vamos a cantar Yo tengo un amigo que me ama, pero sí tenemos un video de los apostolitos, Naomi y Ulises cantando esta alabanza. Pueden buscarlo en YouTube o en Facebook, está en uno de los playlists, ahí pueden buscar El Mundo de los Apostolitos. Ajá, El Mundo de los Apostolitos y ahí pueden verlo a ellos cantando esta alabanza que se llama Yo tengo un amigo que me ama. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, go.
Yeah, okay, I'll follow you.
All right.
Yo tengo un amigo que me ama, me ama, me ama. Yo tengo un amigo que me ama, su nombre es Jesús. Que me ama, que me ama, que me ama por su tierno amor. Que me ama. be next Monday, next live. So stay tuned. She'll go back to Harvard. También dice María Marín, su nombre es Jesús. Amén, amén, amén. Y por eso mismo, estos brazaletes de amistad, ya casi todos terminaron el suyo. Yo no, porque estuve hablando demasiado. ¿Ok? Pero estos brazaletes no solamente es para recordarnos la amistad entre las personas, o si yo se lo doy a Andrés, no es solo para recordarles nuestra amistad que tenemos nosotros, sino también que Dios los ama a los dos. Porque Él es nuestro mejor amigo, sin Él no podríamos amar a nuestros amigos, ¿verdad? Porque Él es amor. Así que nosotros cuando hacemos estos brazaletes, recuerden que no solamente es para recordarnos de la amistad entre las dos personas, pero también de nuestro Señor Jesucristo, de nuestro protector, nuestro gran amigo, nuestro padre, nuestro todo, ¿verdad? Él debería de ser el centro de nuestras vidas. So I was just saying that these friendship bracelets are not just to remind you and the person that you give it to, like the friendship between you two, but also that God is with both of you, because you wouldn't be able to love your friends or the person that you give this bracelet to without God, because God is love. So not only should these bracelets be a reminder of that friendship that you have between those two people, but also a reminder that God is with all of us, and He should be part of that friendship. He should be our best friend. So I think we went way over our time. Bernita, any last words? Yes.
Yes. So the last thing I kind of want to end on is we talked about relationships, and we talked about all different kinds of relationships. But something that I want to make very clear is that no relationship here on earth, no attachment to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, no attachment to your friends is ever going to fill the hole, that the space that God occupies. You will not feel complete. You will not feel whole. You can try and fill it with as many friendships as you want. You can try and find that love in your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but you won't find it. Because the only love that can satisfy us completely is God's love.
Now, that's not saying that you need to put those people aside. It's just saying that in that relationship that you're trying to build with that person, whether it be friends or like boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife, or, siblings or anything, in that relationship, God needs to be present. Because like Bernita said, there's a space. He's created us in a way that there is a space in our hearts where He belongs. And we can try to make that relationship work a las fuerzas, right? Forcing it. But it will never happen without God, right? So it might be smooth sailing at first, and there's going to be dips, and there's going to be hardships that's going to happen in that relationship. And in order to get through the relationship, through those hardships together, right, you have to have God present in that relationship. It can't just be one-sided either. Both people have to be with God, have to have that relationship, have to be aware that God is part of that relationship. So He's made us it's incredible how, you might have the healthiest relationship in the world and still feel lonely, and it's because you're missing that super important piece that God has kind of left for Himself, and you need to fill that with Him. And you can try as many different solutions as you want, but it'll never work until you have Him. And once you have Him, then you can get through anything, right? And you can also be aware of when a relationship is for good and when maybe it's for best to leave that relationship where it is, right? So it's not that He's going to make all relationships magically or miraculously work. It's that He's going to give us, la sabiduría to be able to realize, this isn't what's best for both of us, and we're just hurting each other if we stay friends, or, this isn't a healthy relationship, and, maybe He can then help both of us grow in our own separate paths.
And that's exactly what I was going to add on to, Lida, because it's important to remember when you put relationships in God's hands, it's not like Lida said that He's going to make it work because it's going to work. And this goes for any type of relationship. And if you put it in God's hands, sometimes what is best is to leave people, right? And that doesn't mean that you have to be like, I hate you, bye, don't ever talk to me, like, done, never again. But it might just be that those relationships are better off in different forms.
You could think of it as each relationship serves a purpose. And maybe the purpose that relationship served already is through. And God, everything that happens in your life is no coincidence, right? God always has everything happen in your life for a reason. Even the really terrible things that you're like, how could this have happened to me? He always lets them happen for a reason. And the reason in the end is the salvation of our soul. So it's not so much, that you have to be best friends with this person for years and years and years on end. It's maybe you just needed to help that person get through that difficult time in their life. And that was it. That was your purpose in that person's life. And God has another plan for you in the future. So you have to understand that the goodbyes, are also part of these relationships. You just have to make sure that it's a healthy goodbye, right? That you leave off on good terms, that it's that you're doing this because God has another plan for you. And the only way you can be sure that that's what's supposed to happen is through prayer. Because again, like Bernita said, if you're disconnected from God, you're not going to know if that's the right thing that you're supposed to do. But if you're connected to God, then he will light the way for you. And maybe it's something that you don't want to do, but, God has ultimately the bigger plan, and it's something that he has determined for you.
And he'll give you the strength. And what Lide said is really important, because it's not just praying, but it's also listening. Because God talks to us in many different ways, and I know that we've gone over, but I think this is important because I think people think that God's going to talk to me. He's going to come down right in front of me, and I'm going to come face to face, and I'm going to see him. But that's not always how God talks to us. God talks to us through the people he puts in our lives. God talks to us through the homilies in the Mass, through the readings in the Mass, through the feelings we get when we pray. It's not that if God comes down and talks to you, that is amazing. And, if you are seeing God, in person, that's, a miracle, and that's awesome. But know that that's not the only way God talks to us.
One thing that I remember one of my catechists always said was, God whispers. And if you have stuff in your life that makes more noise than a whisper, for example, like video games, or, too much stress, or too much work, or other stuff.
Always on the go.
Yep, always on the go, always rushing. That leaves no room for you to be able to literally just sit there and hear his whispers. God is talking to you. It's not that he's ignoring you. He's talking to you. We just have to make sure that we make the time to sit there and listen. And the best place to do that, honestly, that works for me, is in front of the Blessed Sacrament. En frente del Santísimo es donde uno puede estar en absoluto silencio, en oración, y poder escuchar, porque Dios nos habla en... What's whispering? Murmurando, nos habla con murmuros. No. Así calladito. Okay, so él nos habla así calladito, y si tenemos demasiadas cosas que hacen demasiado ruido, o sea, nos distraen, ya sean los videojuegos, sean la persona con la que están peleando, sea de que siempre están ocupados y corriendo y siempre tarda todo lo demás, nunca vamos a poder tener un tiempo de silencio donde nos podemos enfocar en los murmuros de Dios para poder saber qué es lo que él tiene que decirnos, ¿verdad? Y lo que yo les recomiendo para poder tener ese momento de paz, de silencio, de meditación, de oración, es enfrente del Santísimo. Cuando Él está realmente presente ahí con nosotros, es totalmente diferente, cambia la vida. Si no lo han hecho, vayan al Santísimo.
Y ya, lo último, lo prometo que voy a decir, es que la relación de Dios tiene que venir primerito en la vida. En los 10 mandamientos, lo primero es: no puedes tener otros dioses arriba de mí. Eso no significa los dioses griegos o los dioses romanos. No vas a poner tu novio o novias encima de mí, tu amistades encima de mí, el dinero encima de mí, los videojuegos, el fútbol, nada. Es que la relación con Dios es lo primero, siempre. Y eso se tiene que estar bien claro. The first commandment tells us, you shall have no strange gods before me. That means that you will not put anything above God, not your relationships, not money, not soccer, not the video games, nothing.
Not work.
Because God needs to be your number one relationship, because the relationships that you have moving forward will look like the one you have with God.
Amen. Okay, we have gone way over time. Ya nos pasamos demasiado. A todos los papás de los apóstoles que están mirando, ya estamos terminando. Okay. Dice rapidito, Melanie de Anda dice, now I'm actually going to sleep. Good night. See you tomorrow. Apóstoles, see you next week.
Early, Melanie.
Bye, Melanie. Valentina Marín says the prayer hands. Yes. Good to see you praying already. And con esta alabanza nos vamos despidiendo. Vamos a cantar Cristo está conmigo. Una alabanza que a mí me encanta porque se trata de lo que todo lo en nuestra vida cambia cuando nosotros tenemos a Cristo en nuestra vida. So, con esta nos vamos despidiendo. Nos vemos la próxima. Oh, wait. Actually, we are not going to be going live next week. No vamos a tener el programa la próxima semana because muchos de nosotros nos estamos preparando para el retiro de 3 días de los jóvenes de confirmación de San Adalberto. Así que desde ya a todos ustedes escuchando, les pedimos las oraciones. Por favor, que oren mucho por estos jóvenes para que este retiro de 3 días que vamos a tener en marzo sea una bendición para ellos, que puedan sentir la presencia de Dios, para que regresen llenos del Espíritu Santo y listos para su confirmación. So, desde ya les estamos pidiendo las oraciones. El retiro es en marzo, pero el próximo lunes tenemos una reunión con todos los que van a servir en el retiro. Así que por eso no vamos a poder estar al aire, pero se les va a extrañar mucho a ustedes y nos vemos en 2 semanas. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, and please pray for all of those teens that are going to be living this retreat in March, so that that weekend is a blessing for them and they come back full of the Holy Spirit and ready to get their confirmation. So that retreat is in March, but we do have a meeting next week, so we won't see you guys until 2 weeks from now. Okay, nos vamos a despedir the old way that we did. Okay, nosotros somos Apóstoles en Acción. Buenas noches.